The glute muscles are supposed to be one of the strongest muscles in our body, but there's a trend of people struggling to understand how to activate these muscles or simply having weak glutes in general. I want to point out some of the main reasons on why I think this is, and we're going to do that right now. Hey everyone, welcome to Science-Based Fitness. I'm Adam. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today, I'm going to walk you through a very simple, straightforward test to see if you have weak glute muscles or if maybe there's another deficiency going on that maybe we can address. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you 3 exercises I personally like to mix in with my clients whenever I see weak glutes or tight hip flexors, anything in that realm. Now, one of the biggest problems that I see with people having weak glutes is this sedentary lifestyle. Sitting too much, that can lead to tightness or what we call amnesia in the glutes. So this is basically where we become unaware on how to directly fire the muscle we're trying to target. This constant sitting seems to lead to tight hip flexors, which can limit range of motion, can increase anterior pelvic tilt, which seems to have a little bit to do with people's back pain issues. So how can you tell if these glutes are weak? Let's jump right into this test. So here is our simple test. We're gonna lay on our back to test out with a hip bridge. Now this hip bridge is a simple enough position where you're going to set up with your feet just out of the reach of your hands. We're going to push our hips to the sky, so you should look something like this here. If it's easier for you to set up a camera and film this, go ahead or do it in front of a mirror. Here you can see me prodding at my glutes. When a muscle contracts, you can feel that muscle tighten and harden up. This prodding technique can help you identify any imbalances or any differences between the right and left side. These glute muscles that I'm prodding at are the muscles you should be feeling throughout this movement. The first thing we're looking for on this is failure to reach a straight angle like this here. You might be suffering from tight hip flexors, which are these muscles right here on screen. If you're not feeling it in those muscles and you feel it in those glutes and you're struggling to get full height, you might be suffering from weak glutes. Now, I struggle with tight hip flexors myself. This position, I can feel my hip flexors and my glutes. You want to be able to focus on tightening those glutes when that's the muscle you're trying to emphasize. Now we're going to get into a more challenging position to test. If you failed at this first hip bridge, don't bother this second position, but don't leave just quite yet because I'm going to walk through those 3 exercises after this. Now what I'm going to do with the second portion, a little bit more challenging, is we're going to extend one leg straight out. We're going to hip bridge again and try to hold for 10 to 15 seconds. In this, we're looking for any imbalances. When you complete one side, we'll go to the other side. We're going to see if there's any shaking. This can be a sign of weakness or a deficiency. You can see on the second side, this is when I'm shaking. This is what we want to try to avoid. If you're still not sure which side you might be weaker on, you can try altering this where we don't put our hips down, but we leave them up and alternate between legs like you can see here. You're looking to see if you have any type of hip shift where you drop to the right or the left side. We want to do our best to try to keep our hips level. Now don't feel badly if you did poorly on this test. I've seen a lot of people that do powerlifting that actually struggle with some of these basic movements, and that might just have to do with tight hip flexors or something more specific towards you. Now I want to point out that this test isn't necessarily for a diagnosis, but it's more or less for the general public to get a better idea. If you are concerned with some type of issue that you might have, I would consider talking to a physical therapist that can give you a more specific routine for whatever the issue seems to be for you. Now I want to jump you right into the 3 exercises that I think are going to really benefit people who are struggling to either activate the glute muscles or have some type of weakness. So let's jump right into those 3 exercises. So here's the first exercise. It's called a step up. Now this step up is a very simple movement and you can start very low or go to a pretty high angle. This is one of the best activating exercises for those glutes. If you struggled with any of these tests, I recommend holding on to something like a wall, a post, so you can do these step ups with some type of safety mechanism in place. The step up should not be a fast, quick, jerky movement. It should be a controlled movement where you really emphasize pushing those hips back and out, like you can see here. Anywhere between 6 to 12 reps is probably ideal for this situation, and that same type of prodding into those glutes can be a great way to make sure you're using the right muscles. Exercise number 2 is a squat. Now you don't have to be doing a heavy barbell squat like this. Even simple body weight squats or even standing up and sitting down on a chair. The squat is a great exercise to activate those glute muscles. A similar rep range is probably most appropriate. And the last exercise, as easy as it gets here, the same movement we did for the test on the glutes, the hip bridge. Now this bridge can also be used as a hip thrust. You can use this where we're on a bench or box like this here, hip thrusting this way. That's your personal preference. I try to have my clients remember that this isn't about how much weight you're lifting, it's more about that controlled movement, identifying what muscle you're trying to squeeze and contract, and focusing on that muscle, which here is the glutes. Similar rep range, 6 to 12. I hope you guys found this informative and helpful. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want a more in-depth glute workout, consider clicking this video here where I break down some of the best glute exercises. Consider subscribing and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.